Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, and I have Ken here with me today. Did you know that sex and money are two main reasons as to why couples break up? But there's actually another very damning statistic that tells us that something even worse than the sex and money. It's bad communication, and a lot of counsellors or therapists that deal with marriage and relationships have said that it was poor communication. First thing is the arguing and how to settle an argument. What are your thoughts when I say that about bad communication?
Bad communication for me, when you touched on it, just instantly kind of makes me feel someone feeling something or getting a situation that's getting them to a point where they are, obviously, as you said, they're angry. But I guess it's not the anger that we need to focus on, is how can we move forward and how can we deal with the situation, isn't it?
Yeah, or sometimes I think the article made the point that it's the way that people argue. They don't know how to even settle an argument, and that is what the trouble is. So remember, we're looking at being poor communications, bad communicators. All right. So another point was that being annoying. When it comes to bad communication, I mean, I don't know what being annoying.
I guess it's doing things to maybe get at the other person, because like you said, some people don't know how not to argue. So being annoying can sometimes be part of what escalates an argument.
And it's funny because in them saying that, the being annoying, initially it might have been just like a bad trait of maybe burping or farting, for instance, and it was funny in the beginning. So initially they accepted the person with that, but then further down the line it becomes a bit of a problem. Another thing was sugarcoating things.
Okay, so pretending that an argument is not really an argument, like you're glossing it over.
Not even the fact of, we're not talking about arguments now, we're just talking about, everything's love, peace and light. So in front of everyone, you've got a persona, and then behind the scenes you're someone else. So you make it out to seem like everything's all right, when in fact it isn't. Or not being open. So someone that goes around smiling all the time, for instance, and they're not letting you know really what's going on inside.
Because sometimes genuinely people are just happy people. Nothing wrong with being happy. Not everything. So you depend, like you said, not everybody understands how difficult it is not to argue. Some people that's how they communicate. They the way they present themselves, it seems like they're arguing all the time. Because in some cultures, I know personally, when I hear people talk on the phone in some cultures, it sounds like they're having a proper argument with the person, but it's just how they communicate. So that can sometimes be the reason why some people don't quite understand whether a person is really being argumentative or maybe not. But sometimes that can play a part.
But coming away from the arguing though, Ken, in the fact of maybe being wrong and strong. So arguing is one point of then poor communication, of not being able to get across how you're feeling. Whereas another way where people communicate in a poor sense is not to communicate at all. So that means that either or partner is not in the loop, they don't understand what's going on, and that can be a great cause for concern and breakdown in communication.
Yeah, I agree with you, because sometimes I'm assuming sometimes people don't always know what the other person, or why they're angry with them in the first place. Because what they see as an argument is not necessarily to them an argument. But I guess that's a lot to do. I know we've touched on this before, but a lot of it sometimes is to do with what they've seen previously and how they've grown up. Right. Sometimes it's their own sometimes, as I said earlier on, it could be a cultural thing. Sometimes it's just a parental thing. They've grown up in a household where that's been the case. One parent is stronger than the other.
Right. Yeah. And so they're emanating.
Yeah, and so they emanate that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Or whereas today, now we know that it's not 80-20 no more. It's not 50-50. It's 100-100. Okay.
Yeah, Ken. We know that one. We know where you got that one from. Yeah, but also, as well as that, is the having genuine fun. So initially, again, the little flaws that the person might have had, they liked it before, and then now they don't like it. It's the same with having genuine fun. As you go on in a relationship and time goes on, that fun goes out of the relationship, and you're just two people in a house that, you know, you'd much rather be somewhere else.
No, it's true. But I think as well that as you in a relationship, as you personally, as you get older, I think your tastes change. So what necessarily was fun at the beginning is not say it's not fun now, but it's just changed. You want to do something different. Yeah,
but what happens when you don't do anything different at all, and then there's no fun aspect in it?
Well, then again, that goes back to, you need to speak about it, maybe. You need to say something. Yeah. If you don't say something, how is it going to change?
And that's what we're talking of, because we spoke earlier that it's a lot of people break up over sex and money, but it's the communication that is the worst thing that could possibly come along. Bad communicating, poor communication, and then the love is gone. So overall, when it comes to communicating, is keeping that love alive, right? Keeping the love alive. So what would your suggestion be as in that regard?
Well, if you're finding it difficult and you don't know how to resolve arguments, that's the first thing, isn't it? Maybe you need to sit down with somebody arbitrary, someone outside that.
Very true.
And try and get some common ground. You know what I mean? And I think you can write things down. You can write pros and cons. What's the positives and what's the negatives? Yeah. And then you guys can sit down and compare them and see where you can come to a balance with the negatives.
And that's the point, because we're talking about poor communication. So just open up the levels of communication, like you just said there. That's a really good exercise to do as a couple, is to write down, or for yourself to write down the pros and cons, weigh them up, but making sure that you can both come together and discuss it, and then coming to some equilibrium, some balance, and open up the lines of communication. So if you're arguing and you don't understand the reasons why, you've got to break down and go to the root cause of that, and then work out the reasons why. Always work out the reasons why, but don't work it out on your own or look outside of the relationship in order to get a solution, unless it's with maybe a professional or someone that can kind of help.
Because when we think about it, just quickly, sometimes it's not just the two adults in the house. Sometimes there are little people in the house. So if that's the situation, that would only come down into the kids. Yeah, very true. Very, very true. So if you do have children as well, then they're learning our bad habits. And sadly, little children grow up and then they'll have those bad traits, and they'll have the bad ideas and the bad paradigms and the beliefs and the things, half the things possibly aren't true, how they may possibly feel about themselves as well. So when it's all said and done, start communicating, but don't have poor communication. Have positive and good communication. Open up the lines of communication, and men start speaking more. Speaking more, yes, because that's true. A lot of guys, they just hold everything to their chest, don't say anything, and that's it. Exactly, and then explodes.
So whatever y'all are doing, have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful day. And like we say, if you like what we're speaking about, please to click that link below. Ding dong, hit that notification bell. I'll see y'all on the other side.
side.
Take care.
Take care.